Welcome to Science of Mind 101. I think we're on technically class 5 in the workbook. It is November 2018 in time and space in Asheville, North Carolina. Wherever you are and whatever it is always the here and now with you. We begin with treatment, so take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let go of anything that does not serve you. And breathe in that sense of clarity, of wisdom, of power, of knowing that all is well. And again, exhale and let go of anything that does not serve you. Because the truth is that there's only one power and presence. It is love and light and life. It is power and creativity. It is prosperity and health and joy. And out of itself, all things came. And so we are created out of the divine. We are divine beings. We are spiritual beings. And we have everything that God is. And so we choose this night to use this teaching, to use these principles, to create a life that is rich with health and love and joy and happiness, with prosperity and success of all kinds. We know that every door is open and our way is made clear, and we move through in life with our head held high, remembering who we are, that we are God in form as us. And so with great gratitude and thanksgiving that we get to live this life, that we get to be us, that we get to be connected, that we get to use this teaching. With great gratitude and thanksgiving for this class, this night, we let this go into all that God is, knowing that God is all, as together we say, and so it is. Wonderful. Come on in, Shauna and Elise. I'm going to do just a little bit of housekeeping. Our annual celebration dinner is Friday night at 6:30. If you have not RSVP'd and you do want to come, everybody is invited. It is our way of saying thank you for all of the support and all that you have given to help make this center all that it is. This is a group of, we are a volunteer organization. The members wash the dishes and pay the bills, and this is our way of saying thanks and to give you an opportunity to check in and see what kind of commitment you want to make for 2019. So because it has come to light that some of the RSVPs have been misplaced. So is there anybody that wants to come that has not RSVP'd? No. How many of you have RSVP'd just so I can check you off my list? Got you. Okay, I've got you all. Thank you. So I want to start off, I just watched Lynn Villa's talk last week. How many people were there? Tell me what you thought of it. And those of you watching, go on YouTube and look up last week's class. It was amazing. Amazing. What'd you get out of it? What did you learn?
And I didn't talk about it yesterday too, but listening to and watching Lynn, it's almost like walking on fire. Because it's that which I hold up as possible, and I know that.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does, well, especially since you stood up yesterday and said the doctor told you 4 times you had cancer, 5 times you had cancer, and you don't have cancer. And this is what we do. We take the circumstances in our lives and we change them. And Lynn, you were just an amazing example. You were clear, you were focused, you were right on track, and you pushed the boundaries of what people believe is possible. But that's what you always have done. So who else? What did you learn from last week? Nobody learned anything. Jane.
There's lots of universes beyond what I think is.
Right, universes, inside of universes, inside of universes. They call it the multiverse, and that's only in physical form.
Yeah.
Because a universe has to be in time and space, so that is limited in and of itself. Because all that, whatever God is, whatever spirit is, whatever that energy is is the formless that contains form but is not limited by form. And so inside of the form is infinite possibilities, probabilities, universes, alternative lives. Who knows what's going on? Lynn knows. Yes, Peggy.
Also, we learned that, that we always have a team of supernatural help, whatever you want to call it. It's
Legions of angels,
yes,
I call them.
Yes, and they're there all the time, whether we acknowledge them or not, and they're helping us in ways when we're not aware. And if we choose to be aware and ask, we can get a lot more help.
Right, and that is because we are connected with everything.
Yes.
And so it's not like, okay, you have been assigned a guardian angel, although it might be like that, but it's because we're connected with everything, because there's only one. So I'm connected with you, I'm connected with every bit of wisdom and intelligence that ever has been, that is, and ever will be. So we have that at our disposal. That's how I got through algebra in college. I did a treatment before every test that the mind of the person who created algebra, the mind of the person who made the test, the mind of the person who was grading the test, and my mind were one mind now. And for that brief hour, I understood algebra great, made straight A's, and now if you are in a train and a plane and there's some things, I'm totally lost. But doesn't that give you a sense that there's more for you to not turn to, but to open up to? Some people say that this teaching is very isolating because it's all about us. Everything is inside of us. Whatever it is that we hold inside of ourselves, we create on the outside. So it's all about us, and that's not true, because us is all. So it's all about all of us at the point of me. And really it's very connecting instead of very isolating. So what else did you learn? Steve?
So I think the whole, for me, it's a little bit beyond this, because it's like Len talking about her woo-woo stuff. And for me, it's been like this conversation that's been hovering around me for a while, and then it's even kind of weird because this is what Sandy brings me this night. More
Is that
woo-woo
sage?
stuff. Yeah.
I sage the center every Sunday morning. I do prayers, sage it.
See, I've always kind of blown that, like rocks. What do the rocks do? It's, you always kind of.
They're the stone people, Steve.
I had a treatment with Laura last Thursday, and I mentioned something about it, and she's, oh, you gotta get a rose quartz, and no.
Well, no, you don't have to, but there's
she didn't say it that
consciousness
way,
in everything.
Yeah, well, it's just it's the accumulation of, just how all this stuff's coming at me now.
It's coming at you, Steve. It's gonna get you.
I know. I'm gonna become woo-woo.
Join the crowd, Steve.
I love that this teaching is eclectic enough to have some, one view is that you can be very intellectual. There's a cause and effect, there's spiritual law. We are setting law in motion and experiencing the manifestation of that, and you can be very logical about that, or you can be really woo-woo. It's all the same thing. It's just about how you're looking at it. What else did you learn from Lynn last week?
Never to give up.
Never to give up.
Never to give up.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had somebody take one of my classes.
Say that again.
I don't think I've ever had somebody take one of my classes that wasn't like a practitioner class that's on a set schedule. Just turn my Monday night class over to somebody. And you did well. Yeah. For you, Buffy, this is your first time here?
Well, no, I saw her last week.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it amazing?
It was like a secret or something, that whole thing with the airplane crash guy who,
Right,
something like
right.
impossibility thingy that isn't impossible.
Right. We like to say that this is a place where we do the impossible every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, one of the things that I grappled with and that I revisited last time was the whole way of how to wrap my being and my mind around believing,
Mhm.
you know, the blind faith thing and that whole.
Well, I don't think you can go from not believing to blind faith in one jump.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a process that I've been working on for a long
Mhm.
time, and I'm still working at it. It's like,
And that's why we have so much sharing. You know, Susan got up yesterday and talked about how cancer and then no cancer. And Lynn talks about getting run over and left for dead, and now look at her, 2 months walking when they said it'd be 2 years. We have that constantly sharing, so people will go, wow, this really is possible,
Right,
so I guess I really can make my mortgage payment.
Yeah.
I guess I can close this
Yeah, yeah.
deal, or maybe that hip issue I have can go away, whatever that is. And the more that we reinforce each other, the more that we can stand on each other's shoulders and lift ourselves up. Wallace Wattles said in The Science of Getting Rich that the only way you can truly be rich is by lifting everyone else up around you. And that anyone who tries to get rich by pushing everyone else down may have money, but they'll never be rich. And so we really practice that, lifting each other up. Anything else you want to say about last week? Lynn?
I'll say that what I learned was, that there is a lot of contribution here as far as people stepping up, because people stepped up in ways that were amazing. For example, like Breezy and,
Mark,
yeah.
you were over here
Mark was like-
practicing.
Mark said, I thought it was gonna be a couple slides, and I was like, well, yeah, but he really got into it, he really, really got into the process. So the contribution that I received was amazing, and the fact that I was very resistant in rehearsing, very. I mean, I was just like, I don't do that. I don't rehearse, I don't memorize, I don't, and it was kind of comical in like, well, I can't memorize it. I mean, I don't have any short-term memory. So it was better for me to it was like, just let me go up there and flow. And Mark was like, no. And then I was just like, okay, then I'm like, slides, that will cue me then.
Right.
So to like come up with a process that would work and to trust that I could do that. Even though literally I don't have short-term memory to be able to do that. So I actually trusted more in, I guess I think I would have felt more comfortable just winging it, but I understand that, for the group and the class and structure and having slides, that was really a good process to go
When
through.
you wing it, sometimes you forget things.
That's true. That's true. But I did wing the second part. I refused to rehearse that. So the meditation was completely.
You can't rehearse meditation, you can't rehearse process.
So,
Good.
so it was a
Right
learning
out of my
experience for me
screen
too, to
shot.
have faith.
Pardon me?
It was a learning experience for me to have faith.
You can take that on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real solid thing that people need to hear.
Mhm.
And I love your focus of, what, you think you've got a problem that's too big for this?
Yeah.
Look at this. You think your problem is such a big deal? Come on. And that's a very good lesson.
Right. And I would love, if anyone has any experience with, because everybody keeps bringing up the TED Talk, if anyone has any experience with submitting or doing that type of thing, if someone could help me with that, I would love it.
You should ask Mark. Mark's retired now.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, I love retired Mark.
He's been around a lot.
Yes. Good. Anything else?
Well,
Yes,
it's
Buffy.
it's my little whippersnapper part of myself is talking to me and is saying, well, okay, I dare you to defy, the reality that we brought into. It's like, I dare you to defy this, I dare you to defy what the doctors say, I dare you to defy whatever reality supposedly showed, it's like, it's a dare thing, it's like, it gets my whippersnapper up. You know what I mean?
Well, not really, I don't really understand your use of the word
Well,
whippersnapper,
like
but what is your
like
choice?
little zesty one, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna defy the
Sure,
doctor's
because what is
thinking.
your choice?
Right.
What is your choice?
Well, you could choose not to.
I know, and then what have you got?
Right.
Other people are running your life, you're accepting their verdicts and their beliefs, and then you're creating those in your life.
Right.
You're living up to their expectations of your limitations.
Right,
And what a drag that is.
sure, right.
Whether it's your parents, or whether it's a spouse, or whether it's the society at large, or whether it's someone in a white coat.
Right.
Good.
Great socks.
Or gray socks. Anybody else? So tonight, we're doing a review, which is pretty easy in terms of looking at things.
We're doing a review?
Yeah. We're in class 5, right?
Well, I did the assignment for class 5.
Which included study questions for the conclusion.
You're on page 17 of the workbook, right?
I don't
I
know.
want to make sure I'm in the right place.
Well, you're here, Breezy, of course you're in the right place. Summary of part 1, page 17, yeah, it's a review. The summary is a review, part 1.
The one thing I had a question on was the very top, it says complete the Love Insights exercise. What Love Insights exercise?
That is
I
on
could not find it.
page 19.
Page 19.
Page 19. I always marvel at what we miss.
And is it for next class? It
No,
wasn't
this is for
printed
tonight.
Okay, well, I didn't get it done.
That's all right. I won't psychoanalyze how you ignored the Love Insight exercise. So we're going back over this idea that we don't create because there's nothing new. Everything already exists. And that was always a little bit of an issue when we were Center for Creative Living instead of Center for Spiritual Living, because we'd be all Center for Creative Living, and then we'd hit this part in the textbook that says we don't create anything. Because if we created something, it would not be here, and then we had to create it and have it be here. Truly, everything already exists. It may exist as in the quantum field of possibilities and probabilities, not yet coalescing into form, but it already exists. Energetically, every possibility, every contingency, every idea, every possible experience already exists. And what I like to take heart from in that is that whatever it is I want is already in existence. I don't have to go from there is no healing, there is no yacht, there is no soulmate, whatever, to there is. I don't have to go from a void to something. It's here. I may not be in alignment with it, I might not be completely connected with it to have it show up in my life, but that's my work to become in that same vibrational match, to be connected, to be in alignment with it, to open up and to allow myself to have that and to have it show up. But I don't have to make it happen. Every morning I don't have to go out and start putting the molecules together for my car engine block. I don't have to do that.
Thank God.
It's here. And if my car for some reason is not in my garage, I still know it's in existence. Where is it? What happened to it? Where's John? What have you done with my car? Oh, chances are you're together. But I don't go to that suddenly my car just dematerialized into thin air. And you can look at that as you're creating things in your life. It's here, it's right here. It's our job to connect with it. It's our job to experience that joy and gratitude of having it, that sense of knowing that it's here, that acceptance of it. And if we need to do any self-worth work on allowing ourselves to have it, then that's our job. But as soon as we get that match, it's like, I like to use the analogy of it's like the tractor beam on Star Wars or Star Trek, where you grab a hold of something and pull it in and it can't get away, but even that's too dualistic for me. I think that it just pops into form. Quantum physics says it's a packet of possibility and it collapses into form, and that's when we see it. But whether we see it or not, it's here. We don't believe it because we see it because we believe it. And so we practice having that connection inside of us, and I like that idea that there's nothing to create. We only discover it. We go, oh, I could have had a V8. Oh, I could have had a great life. Oh, I could have had this or that. Well, I'm going to have it. I'm going to be that. I'm going to accept it. And I'm going to take it in and watch it show up on the outside. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. And then we get into this idea about free will and self-choice. And we spent like a whole class on that, talking about how, well, if everything is perfect, if all is spirit is perfect, balance, harmony, prosperity, abundance, health, wholeness, love, and joy, then why does my life suck? You know, how does that work? How can I be a pointed manifestation of the divine and not experience all of those wonderful qualities of spirit? Because we have free will. And because that infinite expression of spirit, in order to be infinite and not be limited. And remember, if there's a limitation on spirit, then there's spirit and not spirit on the other side of the limited line. There'd have to be a not spirit. We would move from a singularity to a duality, and all of time and space would fall apart. So in order for spirit to be infinite, we have to also have infinite choices. And so we find our way in life. And we find our way by sometimes doing things that feel good and sometimes doing things that don't feel good. And if we have our smarts on, we stop doing things that don't feel good and do things that feel good and start creating a life that is manifesting that. But a lot of people say, well, I would like to just be created out of bliss and be blissful. But if you don't have any choice, then you're just a robot. You're not blissful. You're a robot. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
RJ, you're pondering.
It's deep.
We're amazingly powerful, creative, spiritual beings, and we can have it any way we want. But we have to get that we are the ones at choice, deciding how it is we want it to be, and how it is we're going to create it. And in that infinite presence of spirit is infinite possibility, and that is where we come in with the ability to evolve as a species, to change groupthink, to change our beliefs inside of ourselves, to learn that what we focus on we create, and to get that sense of power inside of us. That's all part of the, I believe, that is all part of the evolution of consciousness. And as we more and more come into alignment with love and joy and peace and health and wholeness, then that energy either, I don't like to be hierarchical, but it vibrates at a higher level, or it expands, or it grows. The love grows, but how can love grow if it's infinite, and if that's all that there is? I still think that there's something to that, of us evolving. Some people say that we are the means through which spirit evolves. And to do that, we have to have free will and self-choice to be able to evolve. Otherwise, we would be robots. You know, we would have no conscious wisdom or intelligence. I don't know, maybe the tiles on the floor are blissed out, but they're not self-directed, they have no volition, they don't have any choice, so we have that going on. What is the real cause of effects? It's ideas. You got that?
Yeah.
Whatever effect you've got in your life came from a thought, came from an idea, it came from a belief, may have been totally subconscious. You may have not even known that you had that. But every effect comes from a cause, and every cause is mental or energetic. Some people will say, well, it's not even mental because there's something that happens before you think the thought. And I say, do we have to get that technical? Yes, there is a thinker behind the thought. There is an energy. And some people will say that thought is effect. But that makes me crazy, because I don't know then how to manage whatever the cause to the thought is. So I'm just going to start with the thought. There's a belief, there's a thought, there's an attitude, there's an intention. We picked it up along the way. We heard it, we took it in. Oh, it's flu season. Oh, these things are terrible. We took it in, and we didn't do the spiritual work to clean ourselves up all the time. And so then we're manifesting that. Some people say, well, why should I have to do meditation? Why should I do spiritual mind treatment every week? Why do I need to do these things? To clean ourselves up. Because we can just go on through the world and pick up all kinds of stuff. And I don't wanna get too weird, but my Native American teacher used to say that some of us are going around with entities stuck on us. And we just haven't taken the entities, and we just haven't taken the time to brush them off and clean them up and raise our vibration and to remind ourselves of who we are, all of that stuff. So it's our job to keep our consciousness clean and clear, to align with that which we want to have in life, and then to watch it show up through free choice and through free will and self-choice, and to get that sense of power and self-direction of that experience, which then creates faith. That's what creates faith in our life, looking at things and going, I did that, 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 I did that. Of course I can do that. Or, that person did that, that other person did that. Wow, did you hear what that person did? I can do that. Because it allows us to get clear about the fact that we are the directive point in our lives. Does that make sense? Good. How can multiplicity come from unity without breaking up the unity?
That one I didn't get.
Yeah, I love this one. Unity is not sameness. Oneness is not sameness. Think about that. Just because we're all one doesn't mean we're the same. In an infinite, you have to have infinite possibilities. So you would have, let's just say about people, you would be able to have infinite people, all different. Different in their looks, different in their experiences, different in their thoughts, their consciousness. They're all different, and yet everything comes from the one. So just because everything is one doesn't mean we're all little carbon stamps of spirit, all looking the same and talking the same and acting the same. What is that? The Moonies? Is that all of them? They all dressed in the white, and they were all little robots of each other. That's not what this is.
So is it like different aspects of the one, or something different than that?
No, it's just a different experience. It was today different than yesterday for you?
Of course.
Well, so there you have 2 different days, both coming from Breezy.
Okay.
So you have multiplicity coming from oneness.
Okay.
And just because we live in a world of multiplicity does not mean that we are separate. Oneness does not mean sameness, and multiplicity does not mean duality. You get that? Susan?
Is it like all the waves in the ocean and the ocean, the one ocean, but all the waves and it's all the same?
Yes. And you can't see where one wave stops and the ocean starts. And you can't cut a wave out and pick it up onto shore and set it up there and look at it.
Like the blueberry and the muffin. It's not like the blueberry and the
Oh,
muffin.
it's not like the blueberry in the muffin. You can pick the blueberry out. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's like you can't take the same cup of water out of the ocean that you put in.
Right,
Okay.
right. So we live in this world that looks like it's all separate things. We have day and night, we have me and you, we have now and then, and yet it's all the same. And this is why some people think we're nuts. Because we are all points of the presence of spirit manifesting as us right here and right now, and yet we were all different, and yet we are all the same. There's a Mayan phrase that says, in Lakish, in Laki, you are another myself. The indigenous people understood that. I am you and you are me. And we may look like 2 different things, but we are the exact same thing. Only we're having completely different relationships, different experiences, a different kind of life. So if there's anything that anyone has ever demonstrated, that's you. You did that. You can have that. And if there's anything that has never been demonstrated yet, you're the first one. And you can hold that light for others. Because we live in infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities of who we are. Do you get that? It's kind of tricky. David, Mark, do you have a question?
Well, I was going to make a statement, I guess.
Okay.
Infinity is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot think a thought. thoughts are continuous. If you think you're not thinking a thought, and in essence, it all is choice. Thought is actually choice. You cannot not make a choice by not making a choice.
Right,
You
not
are
making a
the
choice is choosing.
So it
Right.
is the continuous change within the changeless is an ongoing flow that is ever ongoing.
Right,
And that's what the experience of life is that it's the experience of that ongoing flow from moment to moment, from thought to thought.
and you're actually manifesting your life every nanosecond by the by the molecules or the quarks of creation flashing in and out of form from particle to wave, particle to wave, particle to wave in a continuous flow. So not only is that thought always thinking, but life is always creating and always moving. It's always about energy.
And how about the thought or the idea that as a center of that action, if you do not consciously make the thought or the choice, something else will.
Right.
And that's what race consciousness is all about, and that's what hidden beliefs is all about.
And that's what the
Those are-
value of spiritual practice is.
Right, they're making choices for you rather
Right.
than you making them consciously.
Right. So when you come to class, when you come to the center, when you turn on positive music instead of negative music, when you go inside and just take a minute to breathe and to reassure yourself that you really are on top of everything and everything really is working out, then you're getting rid of that race consciousness. One nice thing about here is that we have a little micro race consciousness that says you're perfect, whole, and complete. Anything is possible. There's more than enough for you. Everything is great. And when you come in here, you can take that in. I like that. Buffy.
Well, aren't you getting into the illusion versus non-illusion stuff too? I mean, isn't that in the mix? Or is that, that's.
Well, it's an illusion.
Or that's-
It's here.
Right,
Stuff is here.
right.
So there's a song, Only God is Real, All the Rest is Just Illusion. But the illusion is pretty real. So I would rather learn how to manipulate the illusion to the way that I like it,
Yeah,
the
well,
way that I
of
want
course,
it.
right.
Because I may be in the world but not of it, but I am still in the world.
Right, of course.
Yeah, so there's a higher level of there's truth, not a higher level. There's truth, and then there's our experience of truth filtered through our consciousness, through our self-choice and free will, depending on what it is we choose to believe, to think about, how we're going to react and respond in life, and then the manifestation of that.
Yeah.
And the truth is that everything's already perfect and whole and complete. Even if things are going into tubes, we'll say tubes. Okay.
So Barbara, does that mean we have freedom of choice?
Yes, it does, Jane. We have freedom of choice. That's the point.
That's the only freedom we have, I guess, it sounds like.
That's the only freedom we need.
Yeah.
And we have total freedom. I think that the things that we could do if we knew who we were would make walking on fire look like nothing.
Yeah.
And this whole thing about loaves and fishes and raising the dead, changing the consciousness of humanity, creating a world that works for everyone, that's all in us. As we become more in alignment with that, then we open the doorways to have more of that happen. You know, my huge passion, which I've devoted just years and years and years to through our website, is to make these teachings available to everybody in the world. And I just got in my hands today my first Spanish translated book for our website.
All right.
Yes. creative mind. And this idea that you don't have to have such a hard life that you're walking from Guatemala to the United States. You don't have to have that. That if there was some way that I could teach people that if they change the way they see their life, they can change their experience. And how in the world do I do that? But I believe that that's our greater calling, not just to create cushy lives and nice houses and wonderful people to hang out with, but to show that we can do that and to open up the doors so that people on this planet can then live the life that they are meant to live. You know, and I even go beyond that in crazy Barbara world. If time and space are always in this now moment, if we are always here and always now, then there is no past and there is no future. Quantum physics says it's a puzzle that we can so easily change the future and yet can't seem to change the past because mathematically they're the same. The same way that we can choose to turn right to go home tonight, we should be able to not have married that person or not have put ourselves in that environment or made that deal or had something happen. Mathematically, we should be able to do that. So I take it so far as to say, when we raise the vibration and raise our consciousness, then I believe we will be able to go back and change the past of humanity to where we all incarnated on planet Earth and it was the party city. It was joy-filled and prosperous and healthy and happy and whole, and then all of those other experiences that it took to get us to where we could change all of that energy just dissipate and are replaced with the effect of the current cause, which can go backwards in time the same way as it can go forward in time. Now, I haven't figured out how to do that, but I believe in my heart of hearts that that is possible. And that part of what we are doing on this planet as light bearers and the bringers of truth is to change the experience of everybody, not just us. But you can't change anybody else's experience if you're in struggle. If you're dealing with limitation and lack and frustration and illness and poverty, you're not going to do anything until you clean that up. It's like when the oxygen mask drops, put your own on first and then help those around you. So that's what we're doing, is putting our own on first, but I don't for a minute think it's limited to here. And our ability to use the internet is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Jane?
Well, I was thinking of the immigrants from Guatemala, and so they're walking, and they're in that state, aren't they? I mean, they have a dream.
I don't know what state they're in. I'm not there.
No. Oh.
I don't know if they have a dream or if they're just terrified or if their life is so hard that walking across, Central America is just a part of it. I don't know what they're doing. But I know that we have something that can change that whole model. We have something that can change countries, can change governments, can change the way that people experience this thing called life. I absolutely believe that we can change genocides and wars and the whole struggle of life, race consciousness belief that is so prevalent. Because it is so prevalent, then we're not just automatically welcomed onto CNN, to explain to everybody what's going on and how it works, because the heavy energy of the race consciousness is so dense that it hasn't been lifted yet. But every time you choose love over fear, or choose not to be upset, but to give somebody some space, every time you do that, you're lifting consciousness. And I believe that is our true calling, that we've come to planet Earth to raise the consciousness of everybody by raising our own consciousness. And so when you healed Susan, 5 times they told you cancer and you healed that, who knows how many thousands of people you opened the doorway to have that healing, and they don't ever have to hear your story.
And
he didn't say I had cancer, I wanna clear that up, but he was telling me how urgent it was that I did what he wanted me to do because there was a great possibility that I had it. And what I didn't say yesterday was, when I walked in, and the reason I talked about the negativity of him and the vibes that I got, that I believe is my old menu. It's like an old menu. And I could have, would have, maybe did have, and I don't even really wanna go there, but I need to say it out loud for me. That may have been a viable choice at one time for me, to stay with all of that, which this time, the second I walked in, it was just literally hateful to me, and I had to get out of there. Don't take my blood, don't take this test, you can't get inside of me, my body just put up the blocks. Because I knew, I mean, it's almost like, it's almost like a picture book, I see it so clearly. I knew I did not belong there. And then around the corner and over the hill and through the woods, there was that other experience, which was so light and so bright and so positive in a good way.
So isn't this a metaphor for your life?
My life.
Yes.
And that's really what I wanted to talk about, and I forgot that whole
Time speeds up on stage.
But that was why I went into that negative example, because I didn't take it, and it didn't get me, or
And
I didn't volunteer for it.
Don't you think sometimes we create things
Yes.
again just so we can say, oh, no, not you, not gonna do that again?
So clearly, Barbara, do I know that came to me just so I could see that it wasn't me, it wasn't for me, and I'm like,
And when you left,
adios.
it disappeared. The whole possibility of cancer disappeared.
well, yeah, and yes.
And I
because
believe-
the other doctor, and that I had 30 practitioners and my prayer partners and you, I felt it like I put a warm blanket around me, that you were all on me, with me, in me.
And you could have chosen to have cancer, and then you would have had cancer.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that doctor was there to
So
suit
he was
that.
gonna support you 100% in that.
He was ready, willing, and able.
And that's what they're trained to do.
And so I walked, it was like, just like a picture book, I keep saying that. There was door 1, door 2, and which one do I want? Let me look this over. No, I don't want that one. And I went into another one.
And when you went into the other one, an alternative universe, a different choice, however you wanna look at it, cancer didn't live there.
No, he was,
And the body can do it just
Yes.
like that.
I felt, my
Just
son
like
said,
that.
he was sitting there watching my face, my posture. He didn't use words like essence, but that's what I heard from him, that everything, I felt it lightening. And I told you, I held back from saying to that doctor, I love you.
I don't think cancer and love can cohabitate,
No.
so loving is good.
Yeah, so definitely,
And we do that every moment.
yes.
The world says, come with me, come be mad, come be frustrated, come look at all the negativity and the heartache and the limitation and the victimization of life, come with me. And we have to say, no, I'm not going with you. I'm going to go to where everything is great, perfect, whole, and complete, healthy in every way, more than enough to do whatever it is I want to do, money falling out of the sky, doors opening, the red carpet rolling out, all of that. We get to choose to do that, and then the circumstances will change just like that. Just like that.
And not tell anybody who's not going to support that. I only told people in this room, you and my children. I didn't want to have any discussions or any doubt coming from anybody.
And we have had people who have had the biopsies, and then they go away.
I thought
So it's not that you
all-
didn't have the biopsy yet, and then you had it and it was clean and clear. We've had people who have had thyroids taken out. And between the time that the biopsy was done and the thyroid was removed, the thyroid healed. And the pathologist is saying, crazy doctor, why'd you take out this person's thyroid? It was perfectly fine thyroid. Well, it was not just weeks earlier. So the body can change, the body of our affairs can change at any moment, and we are the ones at choice, depending on what we're gonna buy into, what we're gonna believe, what we're gonna hold on to. And one of the trickiest things we can do is feel like we have a right to our upset. Well, of course we're afraid, well, of course we're angry, well, of course, we're gonna be reactive. No, you don't get to do that if you want to be a powerful, creative, spiritual being alive and well on planet Earth. You don't get to do that if you want to have a healthy body and lots of money and have things go right for you. When we decide that, what was it that Robert Bitzer used to say, we don't sacrifice principle even on special occasions. When we decide that this is a special occasion and so we're going to throw all of our spiritual learning out the window and we're just going to go down the road of race consciousness or group think or what our friends are feeling, then we create that kind of a life. And we get to do that because we have free will and self-choice. Whoopee-doo. It is our job to use that to keep ourselves stayed on the idea that we are a point of spirit, that everybody is perfect, whole, and complete. That's why I am such a stickler, even to where people get mad at me, saying if we can't see the presence of God in Donald Trump, we are not on our spiritual path. Because it's gotta be everybody, not just the people we like, not just the cool kids. It has to be everybody. God in form as all of us. Everyone, perfect, whole, and complete. And when we do that, because tomorrow is election day, I digress, when we do that, we lift those people up instead of pushing them down. And I don't know about you, but whoever shows up in office, I want to lift them up. I want them to be the best ones they can be. I want the presence of spirit to come through. Funny, Donald Trump was raised in Norman Vincent Peale's church, Power of Positive Thinking. That was his minister. There's got to be something in there,
Yeah, that's right.
So it's our job to see that and to focus on it. Yes, Buffy.
When we were at part of the Norman Vincent Peale's Marble Collegiate in New York City, and my son Ian was baptized with Donald Trump's child in the same group, and Donald Trump was up in the nursery, and we were all just one big group, and I was like, well, okay.
I believe that God is manifesting as every last person on the planet. Because my choice, my alternative to that, is to move into a world of duality, to lose all of my power, and to become a victim. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move into love and see the presence of the divine and know that all is well and that we as a people are evolving in consciousness to where everything changes. When you evolved in consciousness and you said, no, I will not do that, everything changed. Everything changes when we make that choice. I will not take that. I will go for something better. There is something better. I believe there's something better, and I'm going to have something better, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to open up and to accept and to be in alignment with that better consciousness, including letting go of my judgment, letting go of my criticism, letting go of my pettiness. I'm going to do that so that I can have the life of my dreams. We don't get to have the life of our dreams and be a jerk all at the same time. They cancel each other out. It's fascinating how that works. So there's one more thing I want to make sure we get. Jane?
Real quick, what role does belief play in this?
Oh, everything. That's what you know. You know this stuff. You like to ask questions.
Just to clarify.
This is a clarifying question. So there's the teaching symbol, right? I can still see it right here from 2 weeks ago. Here's our teaching symbol. We use it all the time. It's on the sanctuary wall. It is spirit. I like to use law and body. And this is how we explain the creative process. We've got a circle, but then we tell you, this is a circle that doesn't have any circumference, so there's no edge to it, and the center of the circle is everywhere. So you are the center of everything, and there is no edge to it. But so that we can wrap our heads around it, we have this idea of spirit, which would be thought, belief, idea, we'll use it on the relative term, the individual term, and it goes through something. Something happens. We call it spiritual law, but we don't really know what it is. Something happens when we think something, when we believe something, when we have an idea about something, and then it shows up in physical form as our body. The problem with this model is that it looks like it's three separate things, doesn't it? So let's take the circumference out. Remember, spirit is a circle that has no circumference, whose center is everywhere. Let's take the little line that shows the creative process out of there, because there's really nothing to go through. And then let's take these separation lines, and really what we have is spirit, law, and body. They're not separate from each other, they're on top of each other. They are each other.
I like you doing it that way. That's the first time I've seen you do it that way.
This is the first time I've done it, Breezy. I'm just a genius. I'm just a genius. It's all, it's aspects of itself, it's the way it works, it's a directive force acting upon itself, manifesting as itself in form. It's like if I have a thought that says my ear itches, and I say, I want to scratch my itch with my finger, so I'm going to scratch my ear. Did I operate on anything other than me? It was my thought, it was my action, and it was the fulfillment of the action as the relief of the itch. So it was spirit, law, body, or manifestation, but it was all me. And so that's how it is on a universal level, and even you can't say universe because that's limited in time and space. There is so much more than time and space. That's how it is. It's operating on itself, as itself, showing up in form as itself. There is no difference between spirit, between the spiritual law of the universe and the manifest form of that. It's all the same thing. And the only way that I can really think about it is that it's all on top of each other. That it's inside of each other. That it's not even a piece of each other. That it's all the same thing. Because there is truly only one. And so I don't want you to get stuck on this idea that I think a thought and it sets spiritual law in motion, and then that law gathers together to it all like particles until it manifests into physical form with a quantum collapse. It doesn't really work that way. It is all that unending energy of movement, of the creative force, of the life essence of thought, continuing to move, whether it's my thought, your thought, the thought of God, whatever that is. But it is a movement of consciousness and energy that then something happens to it, but not outside of itself. It is in the same thought. The thought morphs, and then it's in physical form. And it doesn't look that way because for some crazy reason, you and I have chosen to show up in this thing called a space-time continuum, which is only one little level. This space-time thing is just one little level in an infinite of possible experiences. Whatever spirit is, it is the timeless that contains all time. It is the formless that contains all form. But it is not limited by the form or the time. It is so much beyond that. So you can't have a piece of spirit operating on a piece of spirit showing up as a piece of spirit. It's all the same thing, and it is all at the point of you right now. Because the center has to be everywhere present. Thomas Troward said that in order for a unity to exist, it must exist in its totality at every point simultaneously. That means that all of spirit, beyond universes and time and space, all of spirit must be present at the point of you and 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 everybody and everywhere all at once. To have that happen, you can't cut it up into any kind of a little piece. And to have an infinite that doesn't have an edge, that doesn't have spirit and not spirit, then it has to constantly be expanding, which means it is constant motion. It's all energy. And then you look at the quantum view that says, well, that table is bouncing in and out of a particle in a wave, a particle in a wave, a particle in a wave in nanoseconds. Half of our experience just on the physical plane is energy, even when we look at it as solid form. Nothing is solid. Nothing is stationary. Does that make sense? Breezy.
For me, how I've been able to, I guess, imagine and wrap my head around how it's all connected is take the word universe, and it means one song, and that to me encompasses all whatever, because you've got all the different parts and everything working together and all that sort of thing where they're all interconnected.
Right.
And to
It's a
make it all
concert,
as
it's a
one.
universal concert. The problem with that is that it's still in time and space. When Ernest wrote this, when the early metaphysicians were writing this, they used universe as a synonym for God. And they didn't, even though Einstein was doing his thing back then, they didn't quite have the concept that as big as they could think the universe was, it was still just a teeny tiny thing. And then you get the whole idea that there are realms that don't have time, which is where we get quantum jumps, or space, which is how people can, like Sai Baba, could materialize in different places at the exact same moment. But even that is all on the physical realm, but I think the physical realm is about as far as we can go because we're focused on the physical realm. When we start going outside of the physical realm for more than just little jumps, it just makes me crazy. You know, but I know that there are realities upon realities, that in this room there are beings right here filling up this room. And that there are experiences that because we're focused in time and space, we don't have ready grasp of. But like Lynn was saying, you can ask. You can ask. I truly believe that there are beings, entities, energies, love, light, whatever you want to call it, that are here for our good because it's all everybody's good. It's their good. It's like, how can you have the will of God be something that's against the nature of the divine? How can you have the will of God for someone be, well, you're going to suffer and burn in hell forever because you're a dirty, rotten rack-and-fratchet? How can it be anything other than love? If whatever love is love. Whatever God is love. It has to be the will of love. It has to be the will of expansion. It has to be the will of growth and support. Layers upon layers upon layers of experiences and realities. And we are constantly at choice. And I believe that we can choose to go down any path we want, and we will reap the harvest of that choice. And I believe we reap it just like that, quickly.
Yeah, real quick, I think that happened to me because I was delivering a meal and this old man looks like he was falling backwards and I had my hands on the meal and suddenly, and he was falling backwards off of a porch that was about 3 feet over the ground and it looked like he was gonna just smash his head and die.
Quickly.
Yeah, so real quick, so I kept my hand on his meal, and he had his hand on the meal, and suddenly, the two of us were, on the ground, and he never fell. I mean, because the meal, kept him on his feet. I mean, it was.
Well, it was your energy going through the meal.
Something
It was a conductor thing that probably lifted him up.
Yeah, it was
like
but
that.
it wasn't me. I mean, it was some
Don't
sort of.
say that. Don't say that. You don't know that. You don't know that. The
Well,
things we do
anyway,
are amazing.
I
2
was-
weeks ago, an entire football stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, picked up a football from the kicker and took it farther than that kicker had ever kicked by 12 feet and put it through those goalposts. It's amazing what we can do. We can do anything.
It's just amazing, and and you don't even hardly know what's happening, but there you are.
Sometimes you're profound, Jane. It's amazing, you don't even hardly know what's happening, but then there you are. So, I want to go a little bit over for now, because I want to look at this Love Insights exercise, because I want you to use some of this in your treatment requests tonight, and your treatment work for each other. So am I satisfied with my ability to give love? Page 19. Did anybody do this? Just say it off the top of your head.
No.
Are you good with your ability to give love?
Yes.
No. Most people are happy with their ability to give love. Are you satisfied with your ability to receive love?
No.
It's harder to receive. It's easier to pay the check than to let somebody else pay it. You know, when somebody is a check grabber, it's a power play. It doesn't have anything to do with money. It has to do with power. And to be able to say, I need help and ask. I went through a process yesterday. Come home from 2 weeks being gone, no food in the house. John went to Atlanta to buy clothes for the dinner on Friday. So I'm going to Sam's, right? And I'm at Sam's, and I had people help me put some of the heavy things in the basket, and went through the checkout, and I'm in the parking lot next to my car going, I have a 25-pound bag of flour, I've got some pots and pans that I bought, and a bunch of other stuff, and I, in my wise nature, should not lift these right now.
No.
And so I went and walked up to strangers and said, will you please help me put these in my car? And I watched myself, was not terribly comfortable with that, because I like to be in charge. I like to be Barbara Powerhouse. But I knew that the smarter thing was to go up to complete strangers and ask for help. Most people find it more difficult to ask for help than to be the helper. A lot of people want to be the rescuer, but trying to allow someone to help you is more difficult. So if you are not comfortable with your ability to give love, then I want you to use that in your treatment request. If you're not comfortable with your ability to receive love, I want you to use that in your treatment request. And allow yourself to be in more balance. What areas do you need more love in your life?
Self-love,
Self-love. Do you take care of yourself?
could do more.
Could do more. So what areas do you need more love in your life? Think about that. You didn't do your homework, so I won't push you. And what are you willing to do to give and receive more love in your life? Are you willing to ask? Are you willing to open up? Are you willing to be vulnerable? Are you willing to look at something and say, I really could use walking in the woods in this amazing autumn foliage? I live in Asheville, and I'm holed up in a cubicle all day under fluorescent lights. I could use doing this. Amanda's going, I gave that up years ago. But whatever it is, are you willing to do something about it? If you're in a relationship, are you willing to have an honest, intimate conversation with your partner? This is what I would like. I would like more love in my life in this way. Or I would like to give more love in this way. Are you willing to put yourself out there and have that conversation? And then there was 2 things you can do to experience more love in your life. So since you're not really, haven't done that, go ahead and do that this week. But bring those ideas of how you can have more love experience in your treatment requests. In this class, we're doing spiritual mind treatment work for each other. Here is a cheat sheet. It's a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. It is our term for affirmative prayer, and we we pair up in dyads. And one person says, "Please treat for me for this," and then you do that treatment, and then you say, "Please treat me for this," and that person does that, and you do it every day. So what I would like, before we split up and take a break and get our treatment partners, who is experienced and would like to work with Buffy? Have you ever heard of spiritual mind treatment before?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done it actively.
Who would be a good partner for her? Someone who's experienced and wants to work with Buffy, who's first night in class. Who? Lynn, you're gonna work with Lynn. Good, wonderful. Lynn is our superstar. So, let's take a break, get your treatment partners, and, do your treatment work for each other. So, we had a bit of a 2-week break on treatment. Did it affect you? Were you good jumping back in?
Yes.
She was better.
She was better. Oh, I guess that gets better with a little break. Do you have any treatment demonstrations to share from the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Well, yes, Susan.
Shauna was my partner when David wasn't here, and David was my partner when he was here, and absolutely, totally, yes.
You've been healed.
That's right.
Hallelujah. That was a big deal.
Tremendous.
Yes.
And yes, I'm filled with gratitude,
Yes.
totally,
Treatment works.
yes,
It is what we do. We heal.
yes.
Whether we're healing physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever it is, when we come together, we heal. And that, I think, is the main purpose of our community. And you can't be here for any length of time and not heal. That's why sometimes people run. It's true, not everybody's ready. So thank you for being our most recent miracle. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Shauna?
I'll piggyback Susan. So I have been watching you guys before. I've been stalking y'all on YouTube before I started coming here. And I actually started a Word doc today of just abundance, because like this many things just happened today. And then of course last week my Monday morning started with a big text from Susan that said benign, and then everything last week was like, yes, amazing. But really, the whole story of Pat and I finding the house and finding each other on Craigslist, and that I was at CSL doing radical forgiveness while she was in Palm Beach. I mean, we're in separate cities at the same churches. And so I started coming here in the summer, and then I started watching the prosperity class online. And there's just too many things to say, but I'm like, I can't wait till everything's perfect to tell everybody how amazing my life is. But it's really freaking amazing, I will say that. So
Freaking amazing. Yes, yes. It is. When you get it, you can really have a wonderful life.
And I've been practicing and knowing this my entire life. So you literally said a few things tonight. I was like, what? That's been in my head since I was a child. So this is completely who I am. And a bunch of crappy stuff that was for me happened, and I thought it knocked me off my path so far that I wouldn't recover. I thought I was somehow damaged in me, but I wasn't. I just had to polish off that dirty layer for a minute, and it was all still here, and now it's just bigger and better than ever.
Yay.
Really amazing.
Yay. Flexing your spiritual muscle.
Truly.
Yes. Who else? Treatment demonstrations.
I have a few,
Sandy.
and I wrote them down on a piece of paper, and I thought I stuck them in my bag, and I don't
That's right,
remember
they're in
them
your
all.
head.
But there was one a few weeks ago, I just moved, so right now I have 2 loans, so I'm a little lack on money. So I was like, I have some furniture in a consignment shop, so I did a treatment, like, I'm gonna go to the consignment shop, and they've sold my furniture, and I have some money. And I went over there, and it did.
Yay. Good for you. Anybody else?
I've got one. I'm just writing myself notes so I don't forget it. I've had several little small things, but they were big to me. One, I received a birthday card from my mother that had the words in it that she loved how different I was, how colorful I was, how I followed all my own dreams, et cetera, and I was like, wow, I'm being accepted for who I am. I also had, over the summer, bought some presents for my sister, and I mailed them to her for her birthday and for early Christmas. And she actually liked them.
Oh, Peggy, healing the family is big.
Yes, it is. And I manifested $290 from sources that I never thought money was going to come from. And I also recognized that my thought about I want to live 150 years because I'm beginning to learn what life is all about and actually want to enjoy it, and how that's showing up in my life.
Wonderful. You take it that you're gonna live forever.
Oh, thank you, all right.
Doesn't matter what happens to the body, they're gonna live forever, that's true. Jane?
Well, I always have trouble with my family, so now I discover that I really need to forgive my brother, and I had never thought of him before.
I think I told you that 10 years ago.
She wasn't ready.
This is big, this is big.
Yeah.
Good for you, congratulations.
Congratulations, Jane.
Yay. Yay. So a little housekeeping before we close. The kitchen is being cleaned out because we're cooking a huge meal in there. So if you want any sweet potatoes or turkey or anything that's on that table, nothing on that table is going to be kept. So it's either gonna go in the garbage or it's gonna go home with you. Please know you have free reign for anything that may be on the counters in the kitchen all has to go except for Rick's cakes, which are going to be turned into tiramisu for dinner. So thank you for helping clean up. Troy went home a little early, not feeling well, and he's usually heads up the kitchen. So thank you for that. I love you. Take out what you're gonna get. And as you hold it in your hand, we go to the truth, which is that this infinite presence of expanding prosperity and abundance that we can call spirit or the divine, we can call life or love, is present everywhere and always. We are made out of limitless substance. We are created out of prosperity and abundance itself. It is our very nature. It is the essence of who we are. And so we open this evening to the idea that we are already rich. We are already blessed. We are already living the good life. And so we give this gift from that sense of fullness, knowing that as we give, we set spiritual law in motion, and the only thing that can happen is that which we give is multiplied and returned back to us. So we give in faith and trust and joy and love. And we know that our lives are rich and full and overflowing. And with great gratitude for all of the blessings that each of us has, for the continued expansion of wealth and health and happiness and joy in our lives, we simply release this treatment into all that God is, because we know that God is all, as together we say, and so it is. CSLA, Center for Spiritual Living Nashville. It doesn't really matter who you make it out to, I'll just stamp it. It's true. And what I know is that everything in these baskets is blessed. Because as we give, that which we are goes with our gift.
Is it the 5th today, November 5th?
And God knows that today is November 5th. And I know that that energy of spirit as us, alive and well on planet Earth, moves forth, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling, all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. And that movement of spirit in our life touches each and every one of us. It blesses us and it heals us. And then it goes on out to circle this globe, to touch and bless and heal every being on this planet. I know that everyone involved in elections is blessed, that everyone involved in travel is blessed, that every country, every government, and every army is in the presence of God, that love pours forth from them and to them, and that life on planet Earth is a gift and is a blessing. I know that for each and every one of our brothers and sisters in this world, knowing that it's true for everyone in this room, everyone on the planet, everyone who has ever been here, and everyone yet to come. And so it is. I love you guys. Have a wonderful few days, and I'll see you Friday night. It's going to be fun. So